Hey everyone. You guys know that I have a pretty snazzy intro and that I have the ability to chop people up and interject in their video whenever I want to. And I have the ability to just put a sample at the beginning of my video of somebody else's video so that I can address it. But to make a point here, I'm just going to do this ramble style, not use any production polish whatsoever, because those people that enjoy this video are probably going to enjoy it for my brains, not my production polish, okay? And I'm just going to put this out there directly. Biblethumpingwingnut is all production polish and has not thought out his arguments very well. I am directly responding to his video, An Atheist Defends the Pope, !, Agent of Doubt, in which he is replying to a couple of videos. There's Proclaim His Word's video, and then my video criticizing Proclaim His Word. And when you get to this point in response to a response, it gets a little bit harder to do what I call shotgunning. Shotgunning is when you bring up so many different points in one video that for the other person to respond to all of them, it would take an hour-long video, say, and people don't want to watch that, you know? And so people who use this shotgunning technique, often they use it to feel safe, that they're not going to be pwned. But, see, I don't have to fall into the trap of then interspersing myself into a video where I already had my video interspersed into, thus creating an hour-long video that no one's going to watch. No, I can just directly address these things with no production polish whatsoever and still hand someone their ass. So, let's begin. When I say that I don't like Christian-on-Christian violence, when I say that from my perspective, and you say, yes you do, no, fuck you, I can speak for myself, and when I say that, you have no proof of otherwise, okay? To tell me what I'm thinking is very offensive, okay? I said what I'm thinking, and if you have no proof otherwise, other than to bring up my channel name, or maybe it's because I'm an atheist. Do you think that I enjoy watching people who are religious suffer because I'm an atheist? No. Other way around, I can actually point to videos on your channel where you're enjoying the suffering of other people because it makes you look more righteous and you think that you are part of the elect here. I derive no enjoyment in seeing that other people are not on the right path or other people are hurting other people. No, no, no. That's you. Projection much? Boom, boom. So the reason why I named my channel Agent of Doubt is not because it is synonymous with Satan. Please don't try to demonize me that way. And demonization, I'll bring that back up later in this video. I will tell you the reasons why my channel is named Agent of Doubt, even though I've done it a few other times on my channel. I actually, as a young child, disagreed with the teaching of the Assembly of God Church that doubt was something that weighed your soul down and sent you to hell. I found many other sects of Christianity that did not believe such a thing, and whenever anyone thinks that doubt is a bad thing, I have to wonder, why do you think your gods gave you a brain to think with, if not to use it? Also, there is another component to the reason why I named my channel Agent of Doubt. I was on YouTube before that with other channels that dated back to 2005 and 2007, but I was not really into the response video community at all. And I wanted to jump in, but I didn't want to associate my channel that I had at that time, because one channel got removed. The channel that I had a lot of family videos on it, so I wanted a brand new channel with a name that reflected where I was coming from, and that early childhood memory popped into my head. But also, this is another thing. From video gaming, I had been a part of some clans in some certain video games, and in EverQuest 2, I was the leader of a guild called the Lords of War. And basically it was a player versus player server, and I found that a lot of people were looking for a guild to join, but they were looking through this list of guilds, and it was alphabetical. So we weren't getting as many new recruits that were just looking for any guild, because we were in the middle of the alphabet with L for Lords of War. Whereas other guilds that had names that began with A, just like AAA in the phone book, or Aaron's Auto Repair, where Aaron doesn't even exist, but there's two A's at the beginning of it, so that's why they use Aaron's Auto Repair, you know? We weren't getting that sort of attention, so in the next video game that I played, which was Ion, I actually named my guild Ascension, because I was looking for a name that had something to do with the theme of the game, which had basically people with wings like angels, and they were fighting each other. So I picked the name Ascension, and I did that before I learned that there was actually a quest in the game called Ascension. You know, it was part of the character development line of quests. So that didn't go well. But anyways, I chose the name Agent of Doubt because it basically started with an A, and it described where I was coming from. Okay? I really wanted to be alphabetically superior to other channels that would basically be saying the same thing as me. Just wanted to be on the first page. That's it. If people were looking to subscribe someone based on where they showed up alphabetically, then I'd be right there. And now it's going to pay off, because with the new YouTube layout, they're actually they have default ways of listing things which do begin alphabetically. So that was the whole reason for the name. Not because I wanted to be more like Satan or take Satan's name. I wonder how many times you see Satan in a day. You know, if you put change into a vending machine and you push a button and the soda that you were enticed to the machine to buy is out, you know, they don't have any more of that, and all they have left is diet soda, do you ascribe that to Satan? I wonder. Let's see. You complained that I only showed 30 seconds of a 6-minute and 11-second video. I think I just described that when you show a clip for everything that you are going to talk about in someone's video, you can make a very, very long video. And there's a meme right now on the internet. Too long didn't watch, too long didn't read. TLDR, TLDW. Look into that. This is YouTube, okay? If I put a whole bunch of some dumbass on my channel, people aren't going to watch it. They're here to watch me. My subscribers like me, okay? They don't like people condemning other people for their religious beliefs in the ways that Proclaim His Word was doing. They don't like to watch a lot of that shit. It makes them mad. So I used a clip to give people an idea of what I was talking about, didn't use the whole thing. And you have a problem with me using the term gods instead of God. Gods plural. And I was not referring at that time to say the triune God and saying that all Christians actually have gods because they have, God, Holy Spirit, and Jesus. No, I wasn't referring to that. Actually, in context, in my video, I was referring to the way that he was saying that the Catholics are worshiping, this worship plan that is of Satan, according to Proclaim His Words video, and he believes he's worshiping God the right way, right? So they've got two separate people worshiping, sending their messages telepathically to the deity that they're worshiping, and one is getting to the correct place and one is not, according to Proclaim His Word. And so I use the term gods. These messages are headed out to two separate people in his mind. His messages are going to the real God, and theirs are going to Satan, or the false God. Okay? So when I say gods, I understand that immediately you're like, no, there's just one. Don't say gods, because somebody might actually wonder if there's more gods. And I know that given the worldly nature of news, people have it readily available to them, the fact that there are people that worship gods that are not their own, and that makes a problem for those who would like to enforce thought bubbles around people where they don't get any outside influence from anything else, and they like to just live in their own little community where everyone agrees with each other. I get that. You're afraid of the word gods rather than God. Nothing I could do there in the context I was using it in, because I was describing an argument that involved two separate worshiping systems going to two separate beings. And maybe you don't like Satan being referred to as a god. Much the way that Zeus was the head of all gods, and Poseidon or Hades was a god, but it was underneath him. But I think that my referring to those situations as having multiple gods is more proper than the prudish way that you have a problem with words. Because I guess that's the way that Jewish people stopped writing the name of God, and they just wrote YHWH for Yahweh, and it really wasn't even Yahweh. It was like, the name that can't be spoken, and now we've got Harry Potter, like, he who shall not be mentioned, he who can't be named. It's childish bullshit, Tim. It really is. It's the kind of things that I would expect children in a treehouse to think up for rules for their club. Okay? You can't say that name. You have a problem with the term Christian on Christian violence, and I really am not familiar with whatever part of the world you're from. You look and sound Canadian, but whatever. When I say Christian on Christian violence, there is intertextual reference to a lot of the news television shows that happened in the past decades in America, where they used to use the term black on black violence to describe gang violence in LA. And I grew up in LA, and when I say Christian on Christian violence, it's paying homage to that sort of news reporting where you turn on the TV every day and they'd have a story of black people doing something horrible to black people. And it kind of jades you. And I am always mindful of what happens in those situations. And because of the large amount of people in the religious community or the religious discussion community that I'm subscribed to, I see a lot of religious people doing bad things to other religious people, and I'm trying to, I guess, make light of it in a way that people would realize that that's not the way that the whole world works. That's just the way that a lot of people kind of obsess about the world, making it all religion on religion violence, and not realizing that a good portion of the world are just sitting at home playing video games and going to their job for 40 hours a week, and they don't even think about these things the way that we do, you know? And they're having a lot more fun. Or at least they look it. So, now, Tim, I'm going to tell you something that I'm linking your video in the description box so that people can see the entire context of what you said to me. But, and that should be good for you. I know that you don't like that I would take 30 seconds of someone's video and address just that, and without doing the whole. And you think that there was something contextual about the whole of their video that would unravel my argument. I don't think so. But now I'm going to talk about a specific part of your video, Tim. At 2 minutes and 40 seconds of your video, you say you didn't learn... Well, I said, this is what I said. You didn't learn it was wrong to hate your neighbor. And then in response, you say, I didn't learn to hate my neighbor. What are you talking about? If people play that clip a couple times at 2 minutes and 40 seconds, what you have there on your video is called self-pwnage. It's called clean your ears out. What I said was, you didn't learn it was wrong to hate your neighbor. And what you heard was, I didn't learn to hate my neighbor. The evidence of you misunderstanding what I said is right there in your video. 2 minutes, 40 seconds. Play it, people. Play it. Next thing I want to talk about. You think that Proclaim His Word is angry at the sin and not the sinner when he's talking about Catholics and the way that they worship God in the wrong way. And you anthropomorphize Satan as being responsible for the Catholic Church's actions and their dogma, and you Proclaim His Word's bigotry against Catholics by saying that he's not angry at the Catholics, he's angry at Satan and the lies and deceit that Satan used to trick them into worshiping God the wrong way, or a false god, or Satan himself. And last night, I was in a Google Plus hangout with you, and the recording of which it's on Lasoyo's channel. There was a lot of talk about forgive and forget, right? And what you could have taken from that is that it's very hard for someone to forgive and forget in a way that is conducive to forgiving in the first place. You know, people say forgive but don't forget, or forgive and forget, or all that stuff, and sometimes it just undermines forgiveness itself. Let's apply that to hate the sin and not the sinner. Hate the sin and not the sinner is an awesome lesson, right? The words are powerful, but it sucks when people just give it lip service and they don't actually do it, okay? So while you say that he's not being bigoted against Catholics, the way that he is associating them with Satan and talking about them as though they are willfully following a deceitful road, it is not hating the sin and not the sinner. It's failing to hate the sin and not the sinner. You edit out a portion of my video in your video because of what you call such coarse language. the word that I used was fucking, and it was used in a way that was not in any way a reference to coitus. It was actually in the U2's Bono way of getting away with it with the FCC. Look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about. I was using it as an expletive to add emphasis to the sentence that I was saying right then, and it did not mean anything in a sexual nature whatsoever. And here's my problem with you saying that I'm using coarse language. You are the one who thinks that you're elect and that everybody else is doomed to burn in a lake of fire for eternity, and you actually want to see that happen in your lifetime, that the world gets destroyed in some sort of jars pouring out method where, you know, maybe it's nuclear holocaust, maybe it's meteor strikes or something like that. But you gleefully anticipate this shit happening to everyone else on the entire planet, and then after they die, or Armageddon happens, they're going to burn in hell for all eternity. And me saying fuck is too profane for you to play on your channel. But you wanting all of that to happen in your lifetime, no, that's not profane. The fuck, dude. Okay, so you said I was dishonest because I didn't play Proclaim His Word's justification by faith alone argument, or even address it in my video. I don't have to address everything in someone's video when I want to address one part, the part that I clipped. And if it added some context that unraveled my argument, I would see your point here, but it doesn't. So for you, in your comments on your video, because you thought that that was dishonest, I laid out the counter argument, because you say, oh no, it's by faith alone and the Bible says it, and he laid it out like 30 different verses that lay out his argument quite nicely. Well, then I laid out the counter argument, because the Bible actually has just as many verses that say that you need works as say that you need faith alone. And when I say that the Bible isn't good at creating consensus, you say I'm dishonest, because he laid out that argument, and the Bible isn't wrong here. Well, I laid out all of those verses, and you blanketly dismissed them without directly addressing any of them. And I will go ahead right now. I will read your response. You say, proper understanding of your fine list will reveal that most of the passages refer to the unconverted who will be judged by their works. Well, there's one way that people could be judged by works. And if they're not worshiping God the correct way, and they have never worshiped God the way that you worship Him, maybe they're not converted yet. Think much? Anyways. Others are not speaking to salvation, but heavenly rewards. The rest are pointing out that we rely on our own deeds and not those of Christ. If we do that, then we are condemned. And then you say salvation is not of works, but of faith alone. Now, you don't directly address any of the verses that I put in that comment. You don't directly do it, you blanketly do it, because given the way that you blanketly do that right there, that creates a lot more work for me if I'm going to address what you're saying there. Because I have to then take those three arguments and apply them to every verse that I gave you to read, not blanketly dismiss. And that would take, an hour's worth of video if I were going to do it in video form, or it would have me typing away and you could just, let it go in one ear and out the other when you read it, Easy for you because it lets you live in your little bubble where you think you're right, and not even think about, well, is this argument valid? You don't even have to consider it, right? Because you blanketly dismiss everything. It would have been easier for me to basically show you where you're wrong on all of those counts if you were to connect all of that blanket dismissal and take each argument there, connect it to the verse that you're talking about. Okay? I listed many verses, and many of those verses have nothing to do with the blanket dismissal that you claim there. But you did it in a dishonest, deceitful way. Sometimes I think that production polish probably should be saved for people that prove themselves, that, like, I see the worst arguments have the best polish on them sometimes. I'm thinking about a recent video of a girl trying to rap and doing so in HD and just spewing out much of the hate that Biblethumpingwingnut professes anyway, but doing so in a rap against homosexuals. I'll leave a link in the description about that, but yeah, the polish isn't doing it for me. Using the tactics that I might use to interject into somebody else's video, it's not working either, because your arguments fail. Okay? It's not about the production value. It's about the content of what you're saying. Okay? Which is very lacking. I said the Bible isn't good at creating consensus, and you proved my point by using it to denounce Catholics as being wrong and teaching things that are of the devil and worshiping in the way of the devil. And then you denounce them for that, much the same way that they would denounce what you say as uneducated reformist prattle. There's no consensus there. And, you're saying, oh, the Bible doesn't have any contradictions or anything like that. Then why is there all of this variation in the way that people interpret the Bible? If it is so great at laying out this path that leads right into the way that you believe, and 99% of all people who call themselves Christian see as a little distorted, to say the least, why is it that this difference exists in the world? Why are there, like, 30,000 different denominations of Christianity, each one based on a different interpretation of a different verse? Why is that? Also, I said that Proclaim His Word was not following love everyone and judge not, right? And these are 2 points here. He's not doing love everyone, he's not doing judge not. You defend him by saying that he actually loves Catholics and he doesn't want them to go to hell, and his love is leading him to tell them that they're not going to hell, or that they're going to hell unless they get saved the way that you guys would want them to get saved, right? So you're saying his great love leads him to judge the other people as being on the wrong path and tell them that they're on the wrong path. His great love leads him to judge people. You, sir, are fail sauce. Then you go on to justify judging people as long as you have examined yourself and you would be free of the things that you're judging other people for. Tim, that is a textbook example of bigotry. You're basically saying it's okay to judge others if they don't live like you because you've put some work into being what you think is righteous. You say that proclaim his word isn't demonizing people, Tim. But that's exactly what he and now you do. You associate the teachings of the Catholic Church with being of the devil, of being the wrongness in the world, the sinful way and all that. And now you've tried to associate my channel name and myself as being of the devil, and you've changed the dichotomy up a bit, where it's not about who believes and doesn't believe, but who believes in the right way versus those who believe in the wrong way and those who don't believe. They're all in the same boat, and it can't be very comforting to you to think that you are so elect and rare and on the narrow path, and all of these other people are going to be burning in hell for eternity. And the way that you demonize them and push them away from ever wanting to consider what you're saying is really ironic. I think I'm done now. I've got a podcast to join, the Amateur Skeptics podcast, in a couple hours. But I'll leave you with this, Tim. Wait for it. Wait for it. Oh, there it is. There it is. No production polish whatsoever needed.